Okay, we are live. Heck yeah. You ready to get nuts, brother?
Let's get it, man. Let's lock in.
Okay. On today's episode of Playing Small is Canceled, we have a very exclusive treat. He's a former Division I football player at the University of Hawaii's turned powerhouse sales leader, dynamic speaker, coach, and best-selling author. No big deal. He wrote a raw memoir, Resilience and Reinvention, and he's the director of sales at Service Titan, where he's helped scale the companies through hypergrowth straight to a successful IPO. Big facts.
Cool.
Raised in West Los Angeles, he defied impossible odds to earn that Division I scholarship, only to have his career cut short by injury, plunged him into years of struggle before completely rebuilding his life from the ground up, which I deeply admire. Today, he's coaching early stage tech founders and speaking on emotional intelligence, resilience, and turning adversity into advantage, bringing unfiltered truth bombs to audiences from students to C-suites, just to name a few. He's just a juggernaut in all facets of life and a terrific human being. Please welcome the resilient, abundant, inspiring, and handsome, the authentic Jason Ferguson. How you doing, Jason?
Let's go, bro. That's the intro right there. I love it. Smoke that, man. And how can I not bring energy and have a smile on my face after that, dude? So I appreciate the care that went into that intro, man. I love it.
Brother, my pleasure, man. We were having an awesome conversation before we hopped on. There's a lot of similarities. There's a lot of alignment. Our audience, whoever's hopping on live, can catch replay. They're in for such a treat today. I love your energy. I love your values. I love your level of authenticity. I'm super pumped. Before we dive in, I have a little bit of an icebreaker for you. Are you ready for me?
Let's run it. Love a good icebreaker.
How important is it for you to be connected to your mission?
Oh, man, it's everything. Without a mission, for me, I'm lost. But that connectivity keeps me up, man. It gets me up in the morning. It keeps my why intact. On the hard days, when there's plenty of hard days, right? When you're not connected to the mission, the hard days are even harder. So for me, being connected is everything, right? Outside of the tangible external things that everybody's chasing, right? Which are important, right? Like we all want the house, the car, but that connection is everything too.
And when that connection is strong and you're all in on that, the house, the cars are typically the byproduct, right?
100%. And which is why I was talking about, right? Like the why being intact and like the energy that comes from that connective tissue of knowing the mission, but being locked in and dialed on it, right? Everything is a byproduct of that connection.
Yeah, beautifully said, man. I want to dive all in on the book, Nobody's Legend, and all that good stuff. But first, I just wanted to ask you a couple of things I think will really hit with the audience today.
Yeah.
Anyone that doesn't know your story is going to find out, and they can grab the book. And I would also encourage everybody to grab a second book for someone they love, because I think this is your universal language and applies to everybody. It's beautiful. But I wanted to ask you, way back when you had that injury that kind of changed the trajectory of your life, what is it like? What is the experience like when you had to face that? And that very moment challenged your current identity?
Yeah, man, it was tough because I had to face it twice. I first faced it in high school, being recruited by some of the biggest schools in the country, almost getting an offer from UCLA, tear my ACL, missed my senior year of high school, still got a scholarship, recover from it, only to tear it again my sophomore season, first game of the season against USC. So, there was a different experience in facing that head on both times. But to speak to the identity piece, when I got injured the second time and knew that coming back wasn't an option, everything that I knew about myself or thought about myself was lost in that moment. I was still young. My foundation wasn't really strong. My way of thinking wasn't really sound. My self-awareness wasn't sound. So when I lost the game, I lost like the just the identity that went along with it, and all of the notoriety that I thought I had earned from football.
Yeah. Isn't it so interesting? Because I just think of this idea of consciousness. And I think consciousness, by definition, is who we really are. Not who we thought we were, who we've been taught we are, but who we really are, which is unlimited. But so many times, and even having spoken to NFL legends like Brian Dawkins and so forth on the podcast, they often say when the game is done, whether by injury or retiring, they lose a sense of purpose and identity. But the thing is football was something that you did. It wasn't who you
100%.
are.
100%, man. It's something that I did. But what happens is I grew up in West LA. I was, I watched like my mother, damn near beat to death by my biological father. And I think what happened is I clung to sports as like an escape. And then I found out I was really good. So my identity was immersed in this thing that I did since a kid. And then you strip that from me. And it's what psychologists call identity foreclosure, right? Like I had no clue who I was without it, and my self-worth was tied to it. And what followed that was just disastrous.
Yeah, crazy, man. So at what point during that process did you begin to rebuild and to consider what else is possible?
Yeah. Oh man, there were so many lows, bro. There were so many lows. Like not enough time on this show to talk about them, but like, I associate rock bottom with like not one event, but compounding events that then start to stack on top of each other. And the weight of that compound becomes too much to deal with. And you're either going to end up dead, in jail, or on the streets. And like those were my options, right? And I was very clear about the fork of the road that I was in that moment at my final worst low, total shame, humiliation, embarrassment, and just being completely distraught. And in that final moment of that last low, like I decided in that moment that I was going to do a couple things. One, explore the thinking that got me into this position. Cause like you and I both know whether, it's your thinking that creates the world that you exist in. I heard somebody say it best, you don't want your environment to dictate your thoughts, actions, and emotions. Your thoughts, actions, and emotions to dictate your environment. Mm-hmm. And I had it ass backwards, dude. So I realized in that moment that I was in a fork of the road and I needed to be very clear on my thinking, but then also design the human being that I wanted to be for myself and my family and my community.
Yeah, beautiful said. I love just changing the conversation in your head, right? Because often our words and the stories that we tell ourselves are creative commands that sculpt our reality, whether we realize it or not. And just that level of awareness to say, okay, I must have had some pretty productive thoughts that made me this successful in this arena.
There.
We do the same for a different arena.
Dude, you're nailing it. It was all there. It gets lost behind the fog of like bad decisions and self-doubt. But like when I was able to zoom out and see all that I had done, even though I was in this really dark spot, I had cultivated a mindset, a skill set of like good habits, good behaviors. I just needed to zoom out and explore it. But, I believe any level of success, and whether you equate it to financial success, happiness, whatever your version, it doesn't start with what you do. It starts with what you think, man. And like I experienced positive thinking and thinking as a resource to get what I wanted out of life. I needed to revisit that. And part of that is like, your thinking is like coding of a computer, right? Like every code dictates the outcome. And I needed to change the code in my head.
That's a juicy nugget right there. I love that. Change the code. And then
change
you
the code.
That's it, brother. That's so good. The book, Nobody's Legend. What does that title mean?
Oh, man. So, my identity was immersed in sports, dude. I know you can't see me right now, really, but I'm 5'5" on a good day. Now, probably like a $180, you know what I'm saying? But when I was younger in high school, dude, I was like 5'2", 5'3", 120 pounds, but I was electric on the field. And I very early on in my life was getting recognized as a top player in all of LA. I grew up in West LA, and I kind of got dubbed early as like Jay Ferg, the legend. And, I wound up making it to college and was, being promoted as this superstar, and then got hurt and I spiraled really fast. And when I lost football and my identity, I lost that legend perception as well, right? In my mind, though, because now I didn't have it anymore. And I thought that since I lost it, I lost all the notoriety that came with it, and my self-worth went in the trash can. And what happened was, many years later, when I'm deep in my addiction, I'm maybe 8 years into my addiction and I'm out of control, I go to eat with a buddy of mine, and he introduces me to two friends that were there, two females that he went to high school with that just happened to be there. And when he introduces me, he goes, you guys know Jay Ferg, the legend? And in my mind, in that moment, I remember thinking, man, I ain't nobody's legend. Like, you know what I mean? Almost disgusted by it. And it took me doing the work and getting clean and all of these things to realize, wait a minute, I am a legend. Like, bruh, I'm a legend, but I'm a legend for everything outside of football. who I am in my community, how I am as a parent, how I am as a husband, how I show up for my sales reps in my organization as a leader, you know what I mean, in tech sales at my company, how I serve audiences as a keynote speaker, like all of these things, right? They have nothing to do with football. So I know that was a long-winded answer, but that's the truth behind, the title and what it means to me.
I love it. So good. And thank you for the vulnerability, because when you heard that, you felt like a fraud. It sounds like my words. And then you realize, wait a minute, I actually am a legend, but not for the reason that I was just introduced as, for all the other reasons. And that's something you can build towards, right? So football, it was one thing that maybe you tied the word legend to, but you're a legend because of your soul, not because of a football.
My soul, my purpose, you know what I mean, and knowing what my purpose is and my passion and all of those things, man. And I think it just takes exploring out other areas of your identity to truly know who you really are. And you said something about Brian Dawkins earlier when you interviewed him that, like, we all go through losing sports, and there's a saying, right? Like every athlete dies twice, right? Die when your career ends a little bit, right? And then you die when your number's called at the end of your life. And that's part of it. And like, I think there's an opportunity for everybody, right, who's attached to an identity. When you lose that thing, right, whether it's sports or not, that is an opportunity to explore other areas of your identity that also impose greatness. Like, dude, there's something in there right now for somebody hearing this that's magical and they haven't explored it yet. Far greater than the thing that they thought they were a legend for.
100%. So on that note, if we go a little bit deeper, how does one begin to find or identify that purpose?
Yeah, man. So like I have a saying, activity creates insight. Activity creates insight. You have to start doing. You know what I mean? So many people are no people because of confidence. And when I say no people, I mean the word no. They get asked to do something or to try something or to engage. And the answer is no, because there's no confidence, right? And my like thought process on confidence is it shouldn't be the entry fee. The entry fee isn't confidence. Confidence is the byproduct of doing, right? So the only way you'll get confident in exploring other areas of your identity or your life is by doing. Start doing shit. Get uncomfortable. You know what I mean? Give yourself a chance to explore areas of your greatness that terrify you, but it's like waiting in there to be untapped. And like, I know that, for time purposes, I'll try to sum it up there, but like, I'll leave them with that. Say, like, activity creates insight. By doing, you unlock areas of your greatness that are just buried, waiting to be explored. And if you see the book behind me, that's my book. I know you can't see it great, but the cover is cracks with a glow coming out. And that's what that represents. It's like, there's this thing down there waiting for you to tap in and burst that shit open, excuse my language. But if you don't try, it will remain, you know what I mean? Just sleep, hibernating.
I agree with you, buddy. And I have a similar quote, not the same, but clarity follows action, right? You got to get in the damn arena. And even like you and I were having a cool conversation before we hopped on live, talking about the marathon this past weekend. Yeah. But I remember when I first started running marathons, about 2018, was close to the time when I reinvented my life, from Wall Street to what I'm doing now, finding my purpose, making a difference in the world, more money too, and all that good stuff. But the interesting connection there is, I had never been a runner. You couldn't pay me to run. But for me, that was a way to manufacture a really uncomfortable environment. And after I conquered the first one, I began to become a better human being. That eventually led to me having the conviction that I could take this personal development thing and bring it to the world in a big way. So not the same, but it's always connected, and you never know what you're made of unless you put yourself in uncomfortable situations.
Dude. First of all, that's so fire. Like, I don't even know if you read this part of the book, but like, I literally word for word talk about exercise as a means of like mindset discomfort and like rebuilding the version of yourself or the future version of yourself that you need to be, not that you want to be, but that you need to be, right? And like, bro, you just smoked that. So like, there's no surprise that like that's part of your ethos as well, because you're doing it, right? Like you're a man of service. So I'm not totally surprised that you just shared the marathon and the running, how it coincides with like your mindset and crafting the man that you want to be.
That's why I still do them. Like people, like even like a couple of my coaches and my spiritual advisor was like, "How come you're still running these things? Like, aren't you good?" I'm like, "Yeah, I don't have anything to prove per se. Like, but these environments created a different version of me every single time,
Yeah.
and that new version is better for everything that I'm involved with, helping people, husband, everything in between. So."
Yeah.
I think the message there for anyone listening is, do you have to sign up for a marathon tomorrow? No. But put yourself proactively in uncomfortable situations that expand your capacity, and don't be surprised if that leads to a ton more business, prosperity, and fulfillment and everything in between.
100%. It's a beautiful opportunity, discomfort, to silence the voice that like oftentimes controls our behaviors subconsciously.
Yeah.
You know, like if you can master that voice during discomfort, it creates a whole new world out there, especially when it comes to self-belief. So you nailed it, dude. Like I don't need to double down on that. Like they did it. You smoked that.
Oh, yeah, brother. I love it. One of the other things that you talk about, which I resonate with deeply, I know our community will as well, is this idea of continuing to show up even when it gets hard and nobody's watching. A lot of people can't do that. Why is that so important for you?
Because you are who you are when nobody's looking. Like, dog, like you are who you are when nobody's watching. Like everybody has a version of themselves that they portray to the public, but it's minuscule, right? Like it's manufactured to some degree, right? Because we all, like, whether it's marketing, sales, like we're all trying to portray ourselves in a certain light. But like you are who you are in the dark, like whether you believe it or not. And like the work then is what matters. You know what I mean? What you're doing when nobody's paying attention is how you keep like the honor and the commitment to yourself, because now it's not about what's being portrayed, it's about your commitment or your connection to the mission, right? Like that's when the work is done. And I think oftentimes we confuse the two, and it's so easy to confuse the two, where it's like you get in a little work, you post it and it's like, oh, I'm out there. But like most of the time shit is hard, and like you got to show up when the world's not watching, and when it's time to rebuild, and when it's quiet and like people aren't paying attention. And for me, oftentimes that's where I found my most breakthroughs, when I'm in my darkest and I'm struggling, I'm trying, I'm not, the phone calls stop coming, the people stop checking on me, I disappear from IG, and I'm doing the work.
I love it, buddy, so much. I think with even just the definition of conscious leadership is this idea that the camera's always on, right? So how do you do it when nobody's watching? It's the mentality that everyone is watching, even if they're not. And that's what really makes up a great leader. Is, I know there's an expression, obviously, how you do one thing is how you do everything.
100%.
But how all in are you when the lights aren't on, when nobody can actually see? How do you show up for yourself? How do you lead yourself?
Yeah. Because that's the thing too. Like your brain is keeping score, right? Like score is being kept. So like you're watching, you're paying attention. And I also believe in God and the universe, right? Like I believe the universe is keeping score. And so is God, right? So like there's always an energy that's coming from the actions that you put out in the world. And at the end of the day, like whether it's people in general or yourself, somebody's watching, dude. And oftentimes it's you. You're keeping score with you. You know the truth.
Yeah. And that builds integrity, builds self-trust, confidence.
Yeah, man. And discipline.
Hell yeah. I imagine some of the traits that you just mentioned, discipline, that made you successful in football, were also transferable to your new career and the stuff that you're up to now. Is that right?
Absolutely. And I had to relearn all of that stuff, man. Like I was so out of control and like lost in my addiction, dude. I was an opioid addict for 10 years, damn near homeless, lost everything, bro. And not just like financially, but like everything, like self-worth, you know what I mean? And integrity and pride and morals and confidence. I lost it all, dude. And discipline was the thing that helped me rebuild, not the external tangible things, but the things that I hold dear to me, like integrity, morals, honesty. All of that came from like creating a system of habits that allowed me to rebuild discipline and exercise my discipline on a daily basis.
Yeah. Those traits are transferable to anything, right? Those are successful traits. And I love, like, when people think that, I know a lot of people want to reinvent themselves, want to find something more that they're connected to, but they often get tripped up thinking that whatever it is that made them successful was just that. That was that arena. But the thing that actually makes us successful is us.
Yep.
And the same traits can be applied to anything, maybe a little bit different based upon the industry, but the core values are the same.
100%. Like half of what I did when I first started to try to figure out how to reinvent myself and what I need to do, I sat back and explored all of the commitments and behaviors that I executed on to get a scholarship. Like, you know what I mean? And like, I almost relearned all of the traits that made me unique, right? From aside from just how good I was on the field, but the mindset characteristics. And those were all transferable. And I put them all in the book too. You know what I mean? Like I have a whole bunch of sayings like get hit, pathological optimism, right? Be obsessed or be average, Danza. Like these are all things that I learned from sports, dude. And now I teach from a stage, but also teach, you know, the sales leaders and managers that I run in my organization. Like these are all core concepts that they've all adopted that I learned from sports, dude.
I love it, brother. I love your passion, man. What does it take? What does it take to be super successful in sales?
A whole lot of grit, And I think it goes back to what I said before. I think for me, in my experience in sales for nearly 2 decades, the best sellers on the planet, it doesn't start with what they do. It starts with what they think, how they think about their day, how they think about their customer, how they think like if there's 1 minute left on the clock today and we're closing out the quarter and I have one more call, I'm gonna close it and get the goal, right? So I think it's a mindset that I found that have fueled the most successful, you know, sellers. But I think some of the other tangible qualities would be like grit and competitiveness. And like, it's ironic because I found athletes make the best salespeople, because it all goes, you know, hand in hand. And obviously I've worked with some non-athletes that are hitters, but like, you know, the competitive spirit and drive to be number one and being fiscally motivated and all those things also go hand in hand.
It's interesting because spirituality is something I'm very, very connected to. I have a feeling you are too. We could dive in. But the idea is that you never really want to like compare or compete. Like it's just you versus you. But I think if it's not from the ego, it's from the right reasons. Healthy competition is a great thing because it gives you a little bit of a different gear. And it's not a surprise to me that you mentioned that a lot of former athletes happen to be very good at sales.
Really good. And like, I think when it's harnessed the right way, right? Or harnessed the right way, it's kind of made my own word. That competitive energy is everything, because sales comes down to being like gritty and relentless. And if you see you're getting your butt kicked and there's 2 days left in the month and you have a month over month quota and you want to come in first, what is that inspire you to do? It's going to inspire you to pick up the phone, make that extra call, send that extra text, pull in a resource internally that you may not have thought of creatively because like you don't want to get your butt kicked. So I think there's an element of drive that it fuels that you absolutely find in every top performer. There are a lot of top performers out there. I say 90% of them want to be number one at the expense of making less money. Like that's how crazy they are.
It's crazy. But the cool thing about sales is you can get out of it what you're willing to put in. That's a beautiful thing, right? There's no ceiling.
100%. And like, dude, it changed my life, you know, without making this about me, keeping it focused on sales. You can come in with one goal, right? Because you just don't know what you're capable of. And you could make 5x the amount of money and just be mind blown because it's off of the fruits of it's off the heels of your efforts. You know what I mean? And it's endless, man. You just go get it, you know? And I'm grateful to have found sales because like I wasn't born saying, hey, I'm going to be a salesman when I grow up and I'm going to be a director of sales or a VP of sales. Like that's my passion. That wasn't me with sales, but I was able to become passionate about sales. And like, that's what makes it special.
Yeah. Beautifully said. I love it. That's a testament to your desire.
100%, man.
Yeah. Another thing I heard you say before we wrap up, I wanted to ask you about this idea that your imperfections are actually your superpowers. I love that. I think a lot of people need to hear that right now.
Yeah, because like here's the thing, right? Authenticity is about being a one of one. It's about showing up as your true self. And part of what makes us true to ourselves is our imperfections, or what you think people view as an imperfection, whether you were told that by a friend or a parent at some point. And like being authentic means embracing even those qualities, because oftentimes those qualities are used as a superpower. Like, and I mean that. I used to think that like my eccentric enthusiasm, right? Because I know I got a big personality and my raspy voice and my charisma was like working against me. Like I had a manager tell me once on the phone I sounded too urban, bro. Basically told me I sounded too black. So I showed up for the next 3 months trying to sound like the white dude next to me. And like I almost found myself on a PIP, dude, like a performance improvement plan, and got managed out of the business. And I had this come to Jesus moment where I was like, yo, like if I'm going to lose my job, I'm going to go out being me. I'm going to lean into my enthusiasm. I'm going to be charismatic. I'm going to embrace my raspy voice and just like go in unfiltered and not worry about showing up as a version of myself that isn't me. And I think for me at every stage, whether it's the book or the speaking or now working in tech and consulting, my authenticity is what wins, because people can connect with real. What comes across inauthentic is when you show up as somebody you think they want you to be. People can sense that shit instantly.
It's so funny because I showed up that way for years. When I was on the street, I created this identity, this persona that I thought people wanted from me. It was all a lie.
Yeah.
And then I figured it out in the pandemic, and I was able to really find myself. And something that you just said really connected with me, because when I had no following, no fancy credentials, no social, I was an introvert, which surprised people. But when I got the idea to bring my weird version of personal development into the world, I said to myself, I have to do one thing, because I can't guarantee how this will play out. I have to, for the first time in my life, be unapologetically me. Authentic, weird, strange, the catchphrases, all the things that I say. Unapologetically authentic. I love you, line, brother. And it seems like you can relate to this too. At that moment, that's when the world really began to see me, and my life was never the same, and it took off. And it's so interesting that it actually takes, at least from my experience, a lot of courage to really be yourself and get to that point where you're so comfortable in your own skin. But it's the biggest reward you'll ever have.
100%. It's so hard to do, man, because like there's a lot of fear that lives there, right? And there's oftentimes a lot on the line. Like, right, my job was on the line. So what did I do? I tried to mimic the guy next to me. And, I know I say he's this white dude, like, dude, I'm half white. So that's not a knock towards white guys, right? That's just a knock towards me not being me. And oftentimes there's a lot on the line. And like, I think what's special in choosing that moment when there's a lot on the line to be you is because you're actually giving yourself a chance to see what can come of it when there's a lot on the line. And you could prove to yourself that people want that version and not this version. And like we talked about, right? Confidence is everything. Like once you unlock that, how can you go back?
Can't. And also on a spiritual level, like Creator made you a certain way, right? And the idea is you signed a soul contract before you came here, that you would identify your unique gifts that were given to you because you're the manager.
Come on, talk to him, Craig. Come on.
Those with the world in a meaningful way. And so the more authentic, raw, and truthful we can be, the more our connection is secure, which means divine support, miracles, blessings, and all that good stuff.
Man, talk to him. Talk to him. Talk to him. That's it, dude. That's it. So like, I would even go as far as saying, if like that's the one thing you take from this conversation, and I know we've hit on some gems, like to me, that piece is the most important piece. Like I preach that to my kid. You know what I mean? I'm responsible for cultivating this human being that's going to go out into the world and contribute and be confident. And I'm just trying to instill this sense of like, I am me. You know what I mean? And like, these are the things that make me me, and I will own those things. So that's it, dude. I could go on and on about this all day, dude.
No, it's amazing. Before we land the plane with a little rapid fire, we'll have a little fun. Who is this book for?
Man, it's for the hitters, the overachievers, and the big thinkers, big dreamers that know they have cracks in the foundation right now that nobody can see, right? They know that there's something going on, that they're battling something deep down in secret or not, that like they can be honest with when they look in the mirror and know like something needs to change. And I'd say it's also for, the people right now that are a little bit lost and feeling like they're at a crossroads, they're at a dead end. They've made some seriously bad decisions. And I think the life that they're living right now is a result of that, right? And they may feel like this is it. There is no way to change. There is no future self. And like maybe my life is just going to end up at, either on the streets or in jail or potentially dead. This book is 100% for that person as well, because it's proof that transformation is possible. And it also highlights how you could be successful and have a deep, dark secret that nobody knows but you. There's cracks in the foundation, and there's an opportunity now to transition that and change that.
Oof. Till we drop the mic. So basically what I'm hearing you say is this book is for anybody that wants to improve and get to their next level.
That's it, man. I would absolutely agree with that. Yeah, 100%, man.
I love it. We're gonna put all this in the show notes. I could talk to you all day, brother, and I can't wait to connect you offline.
Likewise, man.
Let's have a little fun, a little rapid fire, maybe 1 or 2 word answers. Are you ready for me?
Hit me with 1 or 2 words. Okay, I'll do my best. 1 or 2 words. I got you, bro.
Favorite movie?
Titanic.
Classic.
Yeah.
Favorite workout?
Riding my bike.
Nice. Favorite book, or maybe one that's made a big impact on you?
Oh, the first one. So there's 2. The first one is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, only because it started my obsession. The other one is The Unsold Mindset, which is a phenomenal sales mindset book, but it's a life mindset book.
What's it called?
The Unsold Mindset.
Wow. Sounds awesome.
Yes. It's one of the best mindset books out there for sure.
Think and Grow Rich, interesting. I was reading this morning.
Yeah, dude, that's my Bible, dude. Like that and Change Your Thinking, Change Your Life. For me, I come back to yearly.
Yeah, I love it. So good. Same. Your favorite guilty pleasure?
Cheeseburgers. Good Lord.
Same. Good cheeseburger.
Like, bro, a cheeseburger with a good bun?
Oh, forget it.
Oh, a mess.
Love it. Okay. Your favorite morning ritual essential?
4 a.m. wake up.
What happens at that time?
4 a.m. wake up, and like I go straight to my coffee because like I so look forward to my first cup of coffee in the morning with a little creatine in it. And I'll keep it short, but like I have a series of things that I do in the morning that help change my life from being the addict to the man that I am today. And it's 4 a.m. wake up, 7-minute meditation. I read 2 to 3 books a month. So like I do like a quick like spurt of reading, and it's usually 30 minutes in like an audio book. Then I get my workout done, man. And it's my essential. So like even if I miss, let's say, the workout on the day because it's like an off day, like I'm getting my ass up at 4 o'clock in the morning. And you know why? It's because of that voice that's saying, hit snooze, let's stay comfortable. It's cold outside of the bed, stay warm. That voice nearly killed me, man.
Yeah, I love it. Is spirituality something that's important to you?
Oh, man, absolutely. Man, I'm so connected, man. That's why I meditate. Like, dude, I get to see it all, man. I get to feel it all. I get to express my gratitude and talk to God.
Yeah.
All of it, bro.
So good, man. This was incredible, brother. Hang on for 1 second. I want to connect to you after. Thank you so much for stopping by today and dropping these priceless, juicy nuggets.
Man, thank you so much for having me and sharing your platform, man. I don't take it for granted. And I'm just extremely grateful, man. Great conversation.